Hi everybody, welcome to the workroom here at Sew in Common, home of the Build A Quilt system. Here at Sew in Common, we take and we put a twist on traditional patchwork quilting by piecing and doing our finished quilting in the hoop of our embroidery machine. The Build A Quilt system right now consists of our basic block set 1, and in this block set you get 3 of the most common used blocks in quilting: the square, the half square triangle, and the quarter square triangle. And in the future, in fact, in just a couple of months, we're going to have the basic block set 2 come out so that you can add to that, and that'll keep you from having to do quite as much translation work. But a lot of you want to get started. You want to start doing your quilts now. And so I wanted to do that for you today. So today's video is all about quilts in translation, how we can take a quilt pattern that we already have and use it with our Build a Quilt basic block set 1. If you don't have our block set yet, I'll show you how you can pick your copy up later in the video. So let's look to start with this quilt top that I have behind me, this wall quilt that I've done. Now, this wall quilt is really simple. It's just one star block that's been blown up and a couple of borders added to it. Now, borders at this point are just sewn on with your sewing machine, but the nice thing is you'll have a guide for stitching right on the back of your star, so you're not going to have a lot of trouble getting those on. And occasionally there is some minor sewing on your sewing machine with this system, like putting this big one together. That wouldn't fit in a single hoop on our embroidery machine. However, it's really easy to do because, like I said, on the back of all of our quilt blocks, let me just show you this one half square triangle. Can you see here on the blue this thread line that goes around? And the distance to the edge, that's a 1/4 inch. So when you're on the back, if you follow that line, you're going to have the perfect 1/4 inch every time. No 1/4 inch foot needed, no special measurements needed. It's going to turn out perfect every time for you. And I have some other videos here on my Sew in Common YouTube channel that can help you and show you how to do that. And I will post a couple of videos at the end where you can kind of see some of those things, and that can help you as well. So let's talk about the translation idea for a pattern like we see here. Now, I loved this fabric, and I love taking a single block and blowing it up big. And it's easy to do with our Build a Quilt system because our basic system right now, you get all 3 of these blocks in 4 sizes: a 2, 3, 4, and 5-inch finished block. So I chose the 5-inch blocks for my segments because that's what we call them. Each one of these little blocks is what we call a segment block. And when they're all put together, you get your big, beautiful block, regardless of the size, whether it's a 10 by 10, a 12 by 12, or something as large as this. I think this block alone is 24 by 24 because I think this is 36 square, the whole thing. So your segment blocks are easy to blow patterns up with because you can size them using the different sizes. And we will be coming out with some extended sizes either at the end of this year or the beginning of 2024, because I know a lot of you have been asking about those. And if you folks want them, then we're happy to do those for you. So in this pattern, I chose an easy one so the translation part, you could easily see it. Let's take a look at this. Right now we have 4 squares, 4 5 by 5 squares. Well, that's easy. That's right in our set, ready to go. We just make 4 of them in whatever fabric is going to be appropriate for our design. Now let's look at the inner part. These 4, all 5-inch finished half square triangles. Well, that's super easy too, because look, you've got that in a 5-inch finish. Easy. That's done. But now we've got our star points, all 8 of them. And they're really modified half square triangles. And I love that. I think it's beautiful. But right now, there's no modified half square triangle technically on this. However, you can change this a little bit, this pattern, and still use these pieces. So I want us to go now under my other camera, and I've got a little drawing here, and I'm going to show you how you can translate that pattern to be used just with the 3 blocks that you have here. So let's switch our camera over. There we go. Now, here we are, and we have this drawing, and that is basically the quilt that you're seeing up in fabric. It's that center block, the star block. And I know it's a little hard to see, but and when I drew it on my computer, I didn't get everything quite right. But the nice thing about this is you could just sit and hand draw this out. You wouldn't have to have anything this elaborate when you're doing your translation. So what I like to do is I like to go into my picture, whether I've hand drawn it or I printed something out, or maybe I even take a diagram that's in my written pattern that I have, and I go make a copy of it so I can mark it up instead of marking up my quilt pattern or something like that. So I go in and I find the parts that I have to translate, and I know right away I need to translate this modified half square triangle. Whoops. It doesn't matter if I get out of the lines like that, because this is just to help me. So this is the block I don't have. I don't have a modified half square triangle in my set. Well, bummer. Well, we can fix that. Not a problem. We can turn all of these into just regular half square triangles. Let's take a look. So we know our 4 blocks on the corner are white in my pattern or in my quilt block. So I'm leaving those. And we know these 4 in the center are white. And these 4 points here are a print. So I'm going to color that in. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm not, oops, almost did the wrong one. Let's do the right one. I don't get crazy and make them really pretty. This is just to help give me a visual guide to what I'm going to do. So I'm getting these all nicely colored in. All right. Now, on these blocks, I know that these centers here on all 8 sides are the white. Okay. But these 2 pieces in my block are 2 different prints, but I know that I can't do them in 2 pieces because I don't have that block. So if I just color these in, all 8 of them, and I'm just going to quickly do that, then what I'm doing is by using a half square triangle, I am still going to get my beautiful star. I'm just going to be using half square triangles instead of modified half square triangles. And like I said, this is a super simple one to translate for this. And I'm going to show you a project that I'm working on for myself, which was a little bit more complicated, but I was still able to do it. I'll show you that in a minute. This is just a block that I created on my own. I didn't even have a pattern for it when I did it, but I created my own modified. We might even have a modified in one of our free blocks of the month from 2023. I don't know. So now if you see what I've done here, by changing these 8 into a half square triangle, I still get that beautiful star. Look, I can still get my beautiful star here. And by doing it as a 5 by 5, I'm going to still get the big, beautiful block that I want. And then I will still be able to add borders to it. And it will be just as beautiful as the one I did with the modified. See? Super simple to do, right? All I need is some sort of a drawing to help me figure it out. And usually there's some sort of a graph or picture in your pattern so that you can look at it and figure out what it is. Now, some of you have seen me show this pattern before. This pattern is Melissa Mortensen. I love this quilt with all these hearts. But this pattern is written to make in a traditional way by piecing on our sewing machine. Or you could hand piece this too, I suppose. But to make it, I can look at this and figure out, ooh, those two edges here to make the top of my heart, those could be half square triangles. These at the bottom could be half square triangles. So I could figure that out and make this in the hoop. Or I do the majority of the piecing in the hoop. Very simple. Now, when you translate something over to the Build a Quilt system, you're going to get in the system, you're going to get all of your written instructions. You're going to get a how-to video, step by step on how to do it graphically, all of that. And you will also get what I call the cut sheets. Let me grab those. Hang on, I grabbed the wrong pile of forms here. So I'm just going to show you briefly this cut sheet for the half square triangle. In this cut sheet, it tells me, depending on what size I want to make, it will tell me what to cut and how big to cut it, okay? So with that, I can follow this instruction for cutting my fabric, but cut out however many I need according to the pattern. So for this pattern, I would need, I know I have 8 star points and 4 in the middle, so 8, 9, 10. I would need to make 12 half square triangles and 4 squares, all in 5-inch finished. And I could have the big center block that is in that quilt. Pretty easy, right? Now, like I said, this is a very simple one, but I wanted you all to be able to see that because some of you want to get started making some quilts and you have some patterns at home. But now I'm going to show you something that I've been working on. See my big pile of half square triangles here? 38 of them, because I am translating. I love this. I love Lori Holt's fabric. In fact, this is from Lori Holt. That's just a white that I had in the stash. She came up with this pattern called Kaleidoscope. You should get the book. You're gonna love it. She has full quilts in here. And she has these beautiful pillows. And when I saw the pillows that are kind of in the reverse, I thought, oh, yes, you absolutely. I knew I wanted to make it. But I don't need pillows. But I do want, I have a place in my home that is perfect for a nice big 40 by 40-ish wall quilt. So that's 36 by 36. So this is going to be even bigger. So I created for myself, and it was a little bit, eye wibbly. Can I just, is that a word? Eye wibbly? I was seeing a little bit crooked by the time I was done, but oh, in this book, if you're cross stitcher, you get cross stitch patterns in there. Those are absolutely stunning. But you get lots of pictures in here, and you get some diagrams. So I looked at the diagrams and I drew out for myself a pattern and I translated it into the Build a Quilt system, and that's what I'm doing. So I've got all 38 of these done. Now I have to make a bunch of squares because, again, to make it 40 by 40, I just used my 5-inch finished block. And what I did on this particular pattern, there are lots of rectangles in here, especially around the edges. And as we go into here, there are rectangles. Well, we don't have a rectangle, but those rectangles were easily split into 2 squares. So by splitting those, I was able to translate the whole thing. And when this gets finished, it's going to look like this. except in the blue. In fact, I think this is even the fabric she used on here, but I'm doing it in the blue one. And it's going to look like that, but I'm going to have pieced all of those segments on my embroidery machine. And then by using my sewing guide, I'm going to stitch them all together, and then I'm going to do my finished quilting. And I'm hoping that our next video coming will be the one where I do the finished quilting on this, and you guys can watch and see kind of what I chose to do with that, because I have been wanting to make this for my own home. Oh, golly, for a long time. I wanted to make it before I ever even came up with the whole Build a Quilt system. And it just sat there and stared at me and said, why aren't you making me? Why aren't you making me? I just never had time. And then I started the whole Build a Quilt system, and I thought, well, I'm going to make it using that. It'll be simpler, faster for me. And so I got this out. I had my fabric. I had my fabric for a while, and I just started doing it. So I've got to finish that up and get it together. And then hopefully our next video, which will be next Sunday's video, I will show you how I finish that out and how I'm quilting it. And then you'll get to see it finished because I love it. And it was super simple to diagram out Lori's block and use this system. And I think this would be really cute if you were going to do this. I know somebody here in our group told me that they had gone ahead and bought this book as well. I think this would be really cute. She's kind of done it. So the name of it's Kaleidoscope, right? So she's kind of done it here in her quilt where she does like 3 colors in each block to kind of give you, you know how when you look at a kaleidoscope, it kind of goes in and morphs into different colors. But wouldn't it be kind of interesting if, so all the outside you did in one colorway, like a color and a white, but all these other little half square triangle pieces in here, you did in different colors? Wouldn't that give it a really mosaic, kaleidoscope colored effect? Because kaleidoscopes can be really wild with their colors. I think kind of like a broken glass idea or stained glass idea. So I think I'm going to try that in a smaller square. And if I do that, I will certainly show it to you all, because now that I've blocked it out so I can do it with my Build a Quilt system, I can do this with my 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, or 5-inch. So I can get different sized finished projects by choosing any of those segment sizes from the system. So all you need for your Build a Quilt system, let me explain that, is a 5x5 hoop. Now, of course, your 2 and your 3-inch blocks you could do with your 4x4 hoops if you wanted to. And maybe your machine only does 4x4 hoops right now. That's all right. Grab the system, because right now it's actually at an introductory price for a little while longer before it goes up to its full price. But grab it, because if you're going to start quilting, you're going to get to the point very quickly where you're going to want a machine that will at least give you a 5x7 hoop. Now, this hoop is not obviously 5x7, it's 6x6. It's a specialty hoop that goes with the different machines that I have from Brother and Baby Lock, and I love it. It's a 6x6. It's my favorite. I've got a couple of them, and because if something ever happened to one and one broke, I couldn't be without it. I don't know what I'd do going back to a rectangular hoop, because I really love the squares. Check, maybe your machine company has something like that. Now, I know someone is out there saying, oh, one at a time in it? Can I do more? Well, you can do multiples in a 6x6 if you're doing your smaller sizes. And yes, you could take a bigger hoop and do multiples of your 5x5 in there. At least 2, if not 3, probably in some of those really mega super duper hoops. You could certainly do that. I'm just going to caution you. Sometimes going bigger can cause things to shift a little. Now, it's not so bad with piecing because we're only doing run stitches. So that's not really too bad. So if you want to do multiples, go for it. I will suggest to you, though, if you do multiples in a bigger hoop, just be careful. Slow your speed down a notch. I never go more than 700 stitches per minute, which for me is kind of fast, considering my first machine only did 300 a minute. So don't go over 700. Even when you're doing them one at a time in a hoop, don't go over 700. Fast is not better when you're quilting. It might be okay for traditional embroidery, but slow it down a little for when you're piecing, okay? And so you can do that. Also, oh shoot, what was I going to tell you now? Oh, if you have not done piecing in the hoop before, had a little brain meltdown there, start by doing some one at a time until you get totally used to the process, totally used to how you lay the fabric down, how it flips over, how it stitches, where you might want to use a little fabric glue for holding things down, all of that. So do one at a time for, say, your first dozen segment pieces. And then by that point, you're a pro and you can do what you like. I just don't want you to go, oh, it didn't work. I was going 900 stitches a minute in my big hoop and everything get out of whack and it's the system. No, it's your speed and doing too many of them at once. So start slow, then work your way up, okay? I think you'll be much happier that way. Now, let's see. Anything else about that? No. So you only need a 5x7 hoop. And like I said, if you only have a 4x4, go ahead, grab the Build A Quilt system, because like I said before, you can do lots with 2, 3, and 4 inch blocks. But before you know it, you're going to want a machine that's going to give you a 5x7 hoop at the minimum. And a lot of machines now do it. I don't know too many machines that only give you 4x4 hoops. I think some of them that you can buy in retail stores and stuff that are like little starter pieces, little teaser machine kind of things might still, but most machines come with at least a 5x7. A lot of machines will come with a 5x7 and a 6x10 to start you out with. So give those a try. If you had a 6x10 hoop, you could do 2. Probably, well, you could at least do 2 4x4s in there. But give that a try, okay? So you won't be disappointed with the system once you start and once you learn how to use it and how to do it. It's not difficult at all. It's just if you're an experienced quilter, this is a new technique. If you've never quilted before, it's a new technique. And I'm always here for you. You have, when you buy your system, a full video, guys. It's a long video too. And I've broken it into segments. So you can say, I only want to work on quarter square triangles today. You can look in the description and it'll tell you exactly where in the video I talk about quarter square triangles, or where in the video I talk about the half or the square, and all of that. And all of that is written out for you and diagrammed out for you in the written instructions as well, okay? If you have any questions about the system before you purchase it, please contact me at support@sewuncommon.com, because our digital purchase products are final sales, because you can't return a digital product. It can't go back to me in reverse, right? So they are sales final, but I'm willing to answer your questions. When you ask your questions, please be very clear as to what you're asking. If you ask me, is this a flip and stitch method? It is, but make sure that's all you want to know. If there's something else you need to know about that method, ask that question too, because I am more than happy to talk with you to answer any of those questions for you, okay? And because we want you to be happy with this. I know a lot of folks have given up quilting. We have someone here in our subscribers, amongst our subscribers, who said she had to give up quilting because she can't do it with her hands anymore. And this is really helping her to re-love the art of quilting. So that's why I do this, okay? So that anybody and everybody that wants to quilt can. And we have a lot of new quilters, a lot of young quilters. I say young because, you know, I'm considered a senior citizen these days. Can you believe it? Being a senior in high school, totally cool. Being a senior citizen, I like to think of myself as wise woman of the world. Because it's a whole different ball game to be considered a senior citizen. But I love it that a lot of younger adults, even teenagers, are starting to quilt. Because I mean, I've been quilting since I was 7, so well over 50 years I've been quilting. And so I've quilted by hand, I've quilted with my sewing machine, and now I quilt with my embroidery machine. And I'd love for you to go on that journey with me. Okay, everybody, please, if you like this video, or if you want to try the quilting in the hoop method before you do anything else, click and subscribe to our Sew Common channel here on YouTube. Just click that little subscribe button, click the little bell to set your notifications, either to get all of our notifications when I post new content, or select what you want to see in there under the personalization part, whichever you prefer. We love having you all here, and I have tons of videos out there, hundreds of videos now at this point. And a lot of them I demonstrate directly on how to do this method as well. And during 2023, all of our blocks of the month have been free. So you get blocks that you can try with this method. And all of our blocks of the month are based on one size block. So, and not all of those blocks are the sizes in the Build A block. So they don't all, you know, you don't, sometimes you get extra sizes by doing the free block of the month and having the system. But I will show you the block of the month for August. I call it Mirror Mirror. I love this. I love that little bee fabric. Do you see it in the periwinkle? Isn't it cute? But I call it Mirror Mirror because it looks to me like I'm looking down into, like I was thinking water when I made this, but I just thought mirror, 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 mirror on a pond. And so that design can be found along with our Build a Quilt system at our website, www.sewincommon.com. My blog is also over there. I must say it is my goal in 2024 to do my blog much more regularly, to find a place to do that, because I know a lot of you love blogs, and so I want to put those out more often for you. This has been a building year and a learning year for you guys, and a learning year for me too. So on all the technology and stuff for doing it in the video world. So I hope that you all enjoy this. I hope that some of you are out there translating your patterns. Please, folks, when you do a pattern that you've created from our system, or a block that we've created for our block of the month, post a picture over on our Facebook website, or our Facebook page called Sew Common. That was an easy name, right? Sew Common. We would love to see what you do, because when we see your stuff, you inspire us, and that means me too. So please post your photos over there. We'd love to see them, and love to see what you're making. If you have questions, say you're making something, you're translating it, and you're wondering about something, even if you want to talk fabrics, contact me again at support@Sew-In-Common. I'll chat with you. Leave a comment in a video where we can all chat together, or post your pictures at our Facebook page. Leave a question. Hey guys, I'd like to talk about these fabrics. What do you all think? Da, 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 da. And we can all have a conversation about it, right? Because as quilters, there's a couple of things we love. We love fabric and quilting, and we love to chat with one another. So please don't be shy about putting out your questions and all. And I'll get back with you, and hopefully others will as well. And I want to take just a moment to welcome all of our new subscribers. We've had a ton of new subscribers recently, and I love having you all join us. Again, if you have questions, please speak up. We're here. No bad questions. The only rules we have here is that it's the things we learned in kindergarten. Be nice to one another. No bullying. let's not turn the air blue, okay? You know what I mean by that. I know sometimes that happens when I'm here in my room, but let's not do that in our chats with one another, and just be kind, right? What's the golden rule? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Let's remember that when we're together, and everything will be just fine. So until next time, everybody, you know what I'm going to say if you've been with me for a while. Go sew life beautiful. Go do a quilt in translation and let us see what you've done so that we can be inspired as well, and so that we can applaud your work. Until next time, everybody, sew life beautiful, and I'll see you soon.